Hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing my comic load for the week. This is actually kind of a small week. Not many titles came out, a couple one-shots, a couple annuals, a couple event comics, but very few of the regular series for comics. I think I actually only have one, and that is a Marvel comic, so... although Marvel did have a lot coming out this week, I just didn't buy it. And as you can see, I'm wearing my Fallout shirt because the new Fallout game that got announced, and of course the biggest news for video games, at least for me, is the new Pokemon games getting announced. Let's go Pikachu and let's go Eevee. Before we actually get into the comics, I want to talk about a couple things. First and foremost, I want to get your guys' opinion on something. Whether it was nostalgia or interest or just morbid curiosity. I decided to go back and look at some of my older videos and some of my older reviews for story arcs. In particular, I took a look at Batman Hush. It is rough. But again, granted, I was just getting back into comics, I was getting into reviewing, I didn't know how to say things or do things or how to compile my thoughts and processes. So, what I would like to do is I would like to do a new series, maybe of 10 videos, taking 10 old Batman stories and re-reviewing them, like Batman Nightfall, Hush, Year One, No Man's Land, stuff like that. And basically just kind of doing update videos on them. And I wouldn't be deleting the old videos, I would just put them on private or unlisted so that these would kind of take the place of it. In case someone goes to my channel, they see me pontificate in a review correctly instead of, bad old reviews. So, if you guys like the idea of that, please post it up in the comments below, not the comics below, but the comments below. As well as I posted a Twitter poll on if you guys want me to do a live video of some sort of Q&A or maybe a live review or whatever. And what days you guys wanted. So it looks like the majority of people said Saturday would be the best day. So again, if you think that's the case or if you have any ideas, please post it down below. As for upcoming things, as you saw, I just posted Getting to Know Raven, which was the newest in my series of Getting to Know a DC character. So I'm going to start working on the next theme for that. And again, you guys can vote on who it's going to be on Twitter, and I'll let you guys know before that. I'm going to do one for next month, or, well, technically it's this month because it's June 2nd, but you know what I'm saying. In addition to that, I'm going to go back into reviewing some more graphic novels. I know I've been doing kind of more just getting to know and the comic load things, and I also have a What I Am Thinking That I'm Preparing, kind of talking about structure in DC Comics right now. And how they're approaching things and what works and what doesn't, and that's, again, I'm thinking about how I'm going to talk about that. As for Patreon, 2 videos I'm going to be posting up for Patreon exclusives. First and foremost is my wife and I are going to be doing the next DC comic review for the movies, and we're probably going to be doing Batman 1989. We're probably going to watch something tonight, so it's either going to be a movie for her or a movie for me. Seeing that we watched 50 Shades Free last, I guess it's my pick. So probably going to do Batman. We'll see how it goes. In addition to that, we just recently watched the Netflix series 13 Reasons Why Season 2, which she liked and I find interesting. So I have some pretty interesting opinions on that as well as she does. So we're going to be posting that up as a fun exclusive video on Patreon. And speaking of Patreon, as always, thank you for my $5 backers out there. Again, to Sammy of the Bat Brand, Paul of the Gay Comic Geek, and then finally Connor of OKayFabe. Thank you very much, guys. I really do appreciate it and support. I love it. Thank you very much for all the support. So, with that said, let's get into the comics. Not many to talk about, but we might as well talk about it. We might as well start where we always start, with just a little bit of Batman in our life. With Batman, Prelude to the Wedding, Part 1, Robin versus Ra's al Ghul. I had to read the whole thing. So this is issue number 1 in a series of one-shots that kind of tie all together. And basically, this issue deals with Catwoman's interactions with Robin and Robin's overall feelings going into the wedding. And of course, Ra's al Ghul plays a part in it too. What I found very interesting about this is, well, Robin hasn't really had any interactions with Catwoman up to this point. This woman's about to become your stepmother, and you don't really know her, and she doesn't really know you. And some interesting questions that I always had in the back of my head were kind of addressed. One, do Bruce and Selina plan on having kids? Two, what should Damian call Selina? Three, what should their relationship be? These are all interesting questions that get answered for the most part, and I think get answered pretty well. There's some good fighting in it, and of course Ra's al Ghul shows up, and some references to some other villains in here too. The art is nice, although I do have to say Selina does look kind of drunk throughout the whole entire time. But for a pure action basis, pretty good art. I thoroughly enjoyed this issue, and I think you guys should pick it up if you're a Bat fan like I am, and you're looking forward to the wedding, Batman and Catwoman like I am. This is a solid read and a great comic. Moving on, Doomsday Clock, issue number 5 of 12. I didn't even know this was coming out this week. I completely forgot about it because Doomsday Clock is so inconsistent with what's going on. And this deals with multiple different people in the story. It deals with Ozymandias, it deals with Batman a lot, it deals with Superman, it deals with a little bit of Rorschach and Saturn Girl, and eventually Joker shows up at the end, as well as some other stuff sprinkled on top. On the whole, it's a good issue, but I feel like this series, for the first 5 issues, have been mostly set up, which is what Jeff John kind of does. So I'm looking forward to the midway part, issue number 6, to be actually some action and to have some progression of the story, because it's all been set up. It's all been set up. But with beautiful art, great references to the DC mythos and to the Watchmen mythos, and just overall a great feel and atmosphere to it. This feels like a very dark point in the DC universe, especially with especially with the Superman theory going on and all the various different hatred towards superheroes at this point. So really liked it. I just think too much setup. Weapon X, issue number 18. So this is one of the few comics I'm picking up from Marvel right now. Weapon X is basically dealing with exactly that, Weapon X. And this is a Sabretooth focused story. And, you know, growing up as a kid, I always thought Sabretooth was kind of a jobber, that he kind of was just there to lose. But I didn't realize in the comics that he's kind of a badass, and he's kind of important and a threat and not to be taken lightly. And that's basically what happens in this. Him and Omega Red kind of go toe-to-toe with each other, and it takes some interesting game planning by Sabretooth to kind of resolve things with Omega Red, although it's not really resolved, but let's just say he's on a better end, and then the rest of Weapon X is kind of bickering amongst each other because they don't have strong leadership. I've been enjoying this series as a whole, and I know I haven't talked about it too much. I usually talk about X-Men Gold or X-Men Red, but this issue was really fun, and especially if you're a Sabretooth fan. I'm kind of impartial to him. I'm neither a fan nor not a fan, but this has won me over a little bit, and it does show you how badass Sabretooth can be. So there you go. And the great thing about this is pick up the previous issue and then pick up this issue. You got a great starting on point. Because Weapon X is actually a pretty decent comic. Another big issue came out this week was the Man of Steel first issue. And I love this cover with all the 7 core members of the Justice League. Not much happens in this issue in the ways of Superman, right? For the plot, we learn more about the bad guy. We learn more about his motives and why he's doing what he's doing, and his thoughts towards Krypton and Superman and everything in general. And it leaves a lot of more questions than answers, but it does give us a lot of backstory, which is really good. The downside to this is that not much happens with Superman. But it's kind of an upside too, because while it's not focusing on Superman dealing with a threat, we get to kind of see how Bendis is going to write Superman going forward, and it feels like a very traditional Christopher Reeve Superman, like mind your P's and Q's, and of course we're on the same side, Chief, and all that fun jazz that we got from Superman in the 80s and into the 90s. And I love that tone for Superman. I love that feeling. This was a solid rock hard start to the series, and I'm really looking forward to where it's going from here. So definitely pick it up, and if you have been off Superman for a while, this is a good place to jump on. Green Lantern's Annual, issue number 1. So this is the first Lanterns Annual, and this focuses a lot on Jessica Cruz and dealing with an old Lantern who kind of disobeyed the Lantern rules and abused his power, but kind of trapped himself in the same time, and it's kind of confusing, but basically it's just that, a Jessica Cruz focus issue. I can take it or leave it. It's not badly or poorly written. It's written well. It's just not incredibly enthralling. Green Arrow Annual number 2. This is a tie-in to No Justice, and I recommend probably reading it after No Justice, the final issue. Basically, this recaps how Green Arrow got from point A to point B in the No Justice story. And really, it does a good job at writing Green Arrow's character, how he views things, how he does things, some really good art, really good action. I know it's really kind of a side note, but I really like how Black Canary is drawn in the final few pages, which is pretty cool. And it leaves a lot of questions that definitely do need to be answered. Really good issue. I think of the annuals that have come out, this is the better of the two. But if I had a beef with it, it's just if you're not reading No Justice, it's not going to be as enjoyable. But if you're reading No Justice, great tie-in. Raven, Daughter of Darkness, issue number 5. Now, if you watch my Getting to Know Raven review, you probably already know my opinions on this series, which is really fun. And not just that, but Marv Wolfman, basically half of the creator team that created Raven is on this. And at first I'm reading this and I'm like, wow, this is some radical ideas to be introducing into Raven. Not bad ideas, I like them, but does it fit her character? And I said, oh, fuck, Marv Wolfman's writing it. Of course it does. He created her. So some, what I said, radical ideas get brought into play on how Trigon and his children interplay with the worlds, and what exactly that means for Raven, as well as we get some more detailed information about those big-eyed, faceless kids. Thoroughly good read. If you enjoy Raven as a character, you're going to enjoy this. If you're not a Raven fan, pick up, and you want to become one, pick it up, give it a shot. Maybe pick up the first few issues so you're not lost. But this is really geared towards Raven fans. And finally, No Justice. Justice League No Justice, the final issue, with Team Flash on the front. It is just that. It's the final issue. It resolves what's going on. And various different other members of the Justice League join in here. Hal shows up to help out because Hal is a member of the Justice League, but he's kind of only there for the big problems. But yeah, really fun romp. It gets kind of I don't know, wrapped up in a nice neat package a little too much. And this is one of my few critiques of Scott Snyder, is he has these big grandiose ideas, but sometimes we get lost in them, right? I think the ending is good, especially how it's going to lead into the other Justice League stories. It talks about, how there's a new Justice League, who's the new chair member, and not just that, but talking about... No one saw that. Talking about the new Justice League teams. Whoa. I have never dropped a comic in my life. Talking about the new Justice League teams with his Justice League Odyssey, Justice League Dark, and finally Justice League. My only gripes with this, and this kind of goes into... my only gripes is about the new Justice League comic coming out, is why is John Stewart on the team? And I like John Stewart, and I think he should be part of a Justice League team, but he's leading the Green Lanterns right now. Why wouldn't Hal, Kyle, or anyone else go on there, because they're not leading the Green Lanterns now. One of the reasons why Hal left the Justice League back in the New 52, other than to take the fall for the fight between him and Wonder Woman, which was stupid, was because he had too much work to do in the Green Lanterns, and eventually became the leader of the Green Lanterns. Now that the new core leader is John Stewart, why is he separating his duties with the Justice League? I will be okay with it if he's no longer the core leader, the leader of the Green Lantern Corps, but you can't be both. I think he would have been good on Justice League Odyssey, too. I think that's a good place to put him. Maybe it's because I'm partial to Hal, but I love John, too. John Stewart is the man. So I do want him on a Justice League team. I just want it to make sense. But with that said, good issue. I don't think No Justice was that great of a miniseries. I thought it was okay. I thought it did enough to hold my interest, and it had some good ideas, but ultimately, I don't think you need to read it in order to get into the new Justice League title. And saying that, my pick of the week goes to Batman, Prelude to the Wedding, Part 1, Issue 1, Robin vs. Ra's al Ghul. I think it just had the most fun going on with the titles this week. Maybe I'm a little bit more partial to it because I am a Batman fan, but I think it held my interest the most, and it had some really good scenes and really good dialogue and overall really good storytelling. So with that said, I'm going to end this video here. Not much more to talk about. Please post your comments and questions and thoughts below. And this is Andrew saying peace out for now.